step back for a second and just kind of focus on like creating the biggest bang for transactions, right? Like what three positions, let's go through three, do you feel, whether it's through free agency or the draft, but maybe it's draft, do you feel moves the needle the most in terms of like impacting this team's ability to actually win more football games? What three positions would be there to focus there?
Right tackle, boundary corner, center, I would say. And center, especially just because in this type of system I think people kind of misunderstand what the Greg Roman offense is, because they're like, oh, they just run power and counter all day. And it's like, yes, that's true, but they do it in like 10 different kind of ways. And you need a center that can pull. You also need a center that, hey, if we run into a team where, you know, they're not running 5-man services, they're running 4-man services all day, guess what? We're running outside zone 20 times. So we need to have a center that could do that too. That's why they drafted Linderbaum in Baltimore. So not only do they need to be able to do all like the outside zone footwork and stuff like that and be able to reach a shade by themselves, but also be good at pulling and also be able to dig out a nose by themselves if we're just running duo. So that to me is Jackson Powers-Johnson, which I know it sounds like I'm describing a unicorn center, and you're correct. Like they need one. Better go get a Pro Bowl center, guys. Like you can't do this system without
too,
it. Yeah. And then boundary corner, and this is something I've been concerned about for a while, because if you go back to the playoff game they lost against Jacksonville, the defense completely fell apart once Michael Davis went out, because they didn't have a boundary corner that they could just leave one-on-one. And so then they had to change not only who they had on the field, but they also had to change the coverage structures they could run, because they didn't have somebody they could leave on an island. They came back the next year, and I was like, okay, well, at least Michael Davis is coming back. And then Michael Davis, he wasn't himself, right? And so it's like, oh, God, they don't have a boundary corner. Like, they really just don't have one. So, again, even though Minter's going to run every coverage under the sun, like, you can't do that without having a guy that could just play press man outside. Like, you literally need one, and they don't have one. So that's where I'm looking at, like, Renardo Green, top of the second round, fits them perfectly. Game. And then of course,
right, the second round.
Oh yeah, he's going top 50. Yeah, I think so. I think that's also a big reason why they're linked to Terry and Arnold so heavily, right? Is because like they know in the building, like, we don't got anybody. Like we need
it's the Will Smith Fresh Prince meme where he's just like looking around.
Yeah, it's like, oh God, what are we gonna do? We got Devontae Adams coming to town in September. Like, yeah, right. So like that's a real thing for them. They honestly need two corners, not just one. And then right tackle, and I don't want to say I've been at war with other Chargers fans about this issue.
Oh
but
yeah,
it's a thing. They need one. Like it's really important. And offensive line is the only position group that affects every single play, run or pass. So like not quarterback, not running back, not receiver. Offensive line affects every single play, run or pass, no matter the concept. So why would you not make sure that you have the best 5 possible offensive linemen? You already got the franchise left tackle. Rashawn's not going anywhere. You don't have a good enough right tackle, in my opinion. Like, you just don't. And it's nothing against Pip, but like they just don't. They need one. They have an opportunity to get one. They should get one. And I think you can make do with the day 2 and day 3 receivers in this class for sure, especially if you're bringing back Keenan. You don't want to risk the day 2 and day 3 tackle class here. Like, there's a lot of good ones at the top, but there is a shelf, and the shelf happens a lot later for receiver than it does for tackle. So for me, I'm not doing the Bowers thing at 5. Definitely not doing the Bowers thing at 5. It's either trade down or tackle. And even after the trade down, I would do tackle. I would address corner on day 2, pick up another receiver later on day 2, and then hit running back and corner again on day 3. And then at that point, it's go to your special teams coaches and be like, who do you want? Who can tackle? And then you take a bunch of them on day 3.
I'm curious, before I transition to the next question about wide receiver, just to piggyback off on that, I think because a lot of the discourse as it relates to the right tackle position, and even I've kind of had this mindset as well, as it relates to Trey Pipkin specifically, because if you go out and you take a tackle at 5, whether it be Joe Alt, Fuaga, any of the other of the top guys in this class, for Pipkin specifically, because he's in year 2 of a 3-year contract, do you essentially then make him one of the more expensive backup offensive linemen in the league, or do you eat that $10 million in cap space that you'd essentially be sending him off and then replacing whoever it is that you're drafting with? In that type of situation, what do you think is the right move to do?
I would then ask Chargers fans, okay, looking at how much the salary cap just went up by $30 million. We're at $255 million on the cap. Are you okay if your swing tackle, which again is going to get playing time, like they're going to put 6 offensive linemen on the field in this system, especially on early downs. Are you okay with your swing tackle accounting for 3.5% of your salary cap? Because that's what it would be. Doesn't seem too bad to me. Like, you know, if Pipkins is your third best tackle, he's your third best tackle. That to me is a good problem to have. And especially if he's going to be on the field, man. So it's like, it's 3.5% of the cap. Who cares? Like, it's fine. Like, I'm okay with that. Like, they need an answer, because I'll tell you what, if he's your only answer and you put him out there and Max Crosby hits Justin in the ribs in week 2, and then we're back to where we were a couple years ago, are you going to be okay with the cap savings? Like, is that what's priority here, or is it keeping Justin upright? For me, it's keeping Justin upright.